Okay, so teacher Josan, please do not forget to read again the question and then allow your student to read the improvised answer. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and at the end of each page, do not forget to save. Okay,
Yes,
got
ma'am.
it. Okay, now since PREC is useful for part one and for part three, okay, so this is what you will say in your student in the future. Okay, so aside from part one, we can also use it for part three. Okay, but before that, since you already know how to use the PREC, let's try to use it with our second question. Will that be okay? And then
Yes, ma'am.
in this part, you allow your student to create an answer from this question using the PREC. Okay, so you will still type the student's answer and then kindly improve the vocabulary, the grammar, or the way he or she pronounce each words, and even the pacing, the intonation, the pitches, and the stress. So basically, you will still touch the four criteria in the IELTS speaking test. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's say you're done with the second question, and let us move on to part three. All right. Now, Josen, okay, kindly mute yourself.
Yes,
Ah, yes, okay. Well, for part three, okay. So since it is useful for part three, let's use the PREC still in part three. So remember when we talked about the IELTS speaking test in its parts? So, in part three, if you can still remember clearly that in part three, you need to give me longer answers from 5 to 10 sentences. And as you notice, you just gave me one word. Mhm. Okay, but I do understand because it's not easy. But since now you already knew about PREC, let us use the PREC in answering the first question. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, but in this part, I'd like to encourage you to give me more reasons, more examples, and I'd like to encourage you to use the conclusion as well because it will lengthen our answer. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Josen, as a teacher, you can see here some questions, question analysis. Okay. You can also see here the idea and the vocabulary that you can use. Okay. And also the paraphrasing. So, being a teacher in partner English is not too tough at all because you can see here the I'd say suitable words or vocabulary that you can use during the answering or during or while guiding your student. Okay, so you can see it all here. If you want to hide this, you can just click this one. Okay, show and then hide. Got it?
Got it, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll pretend that I'm your teacher again and I'll help you answer part three using the PREC. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, since we already discussed part three, okay, I mean PREC, let's use it with the first part three question. Let's have the first question. What technology do people currently use? So, of course, let's start with your point. So, again, kindly choose one introductory phrase. All right. What did you say? You're muted. Mm-hmm. You're mute.
Well, as for me,
Okay, well, as for me,
it is a cell phone.
it is the cell phone.
It
Mm-hmm.
is the cell phone.
Okay. Well, in part three, dear Josen, you can use introduction here, or you can give introduction to your answer. For example, well, as for me, it is the cell phone. I'd like to introduce you an idea on how to introduce your answer. For example, what technology do people currently use? The topic here is technology, right? Now, let's talk about technology. Well, as for me, say anything about technology. Mm-hmm. Rampant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good. Well, as for me, technology is rampant nowadays. Nowadays. All right. So your point is, I'd say it's somehow appealing. Why? Of course, you said rampant. You talk about because it's used daily and you use nowadays instead of using currently. So you are actually practicing paraphrasing. That's good.
Mm,
Rampant nowadays. Great. Okay. Well, let's talk about the reason or reasons. Mm-hmm. Now, what technology you need to give the answer, which is the cell phone? Well, as for me, technology is rampant nowadays, especially, would you like it? Especially the mobile phone,
yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Give me reason why. And I encourage you to give me at least two reasons. So let's start with an expression just like this. There are actually, how do I say this? Several reasons for this. The first reason is okay.
It is cheaper than the other gadgets.
hmm There are actually several reasons for this. The first reason is it is cheaper than the other gadgets. Okay. Well, cheap, cheaper or expensive. It's the opposite of expensive. Do you know that the idiomatic expression for expensive is cost an arm and a leg? But since this is the opposite, costs an arm and a leg, it is first reason is it doesn't. So instead of saying cheaper, it doesn't or does not cost an arm and a leg compared to
Compare.
compared to other gadgets, right? So in this part you actually used what? Idiomatic expression or higher level vocabulary. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me another reason. You're muted.
It is portable. It is
Ah, this is its portability or portability.
portability. Handy.
Sorry. Oh yeah, handy. Portability. Hmm. Since it is handy. Good job. Do you have another reason for this? Mm-hmm.
I don't have any idea, ma'am.
Okay, let's move to the example then. So, for the example, I want you or I am encouraging you to give more. Okay, since this is part three, okay, I want you to give more examples. For
Uh,
instance, for example,
for
which one?
instance,
For instance, okay. For instance,
for instance, you can buy. phone,
Can buy a mobile
phones
phone
in just only 7,000
in just uh 7,000 or less.
or less.
Mm-hmm. For
For instance,
just.
you can
Mm-hmm.
buy a mobile phone for just 7,000 or less.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give me more example? I urge you to give me more.
And mm, also,
Not only that,
and not only that,
or also it's the same. Okay.
not only that, the you can put your cell phone to your pocket.
Mm-hmm. It's just the same with handy.
Um, wait, Sandy,
Okay,
because can
you can just carry it
carry.
on your pocket. Hmm. Okay, let's have the conclusion then.
So the conclusion.
Now, I want you to in your pocket. I want to teach you ways to give conclusion. Okay? Now, you can actually give conclusion firstly by generalizing. Generalizing. For example, um you only talk about cell phone, right? Cell phone. Okay, you only talk about cell phone, but you can actually generalize. So instead of just talking about the cell phone alone, you can talk about the entire gadget, a lot of gadgets. Okay.
Mm, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. So you can start by saying, in general, mhm,
In
to
general.
sum it up. Yeah, this is what you've used before.
Mm,
Okay. Another one is that you can also state your realization. Okay. For example, in realization, um, it's just your realization rather in that specific topic. For example, the topic is technology. What's your realization about it? Let's say, technology is, I'd say it's very helpful with our daily lives. However, it has its pros and cons, right? So I came to realize that aside from its usefulness, it also has its bad effects. Okay, so you can state your realization about something. I came to realize, or so sorry, I came to realize, or simply saying, I realized, I contemplated, right? Aside from realization, you can also quote. You can also quote somebody, or for example, technology. Somebody is very popular, is connected to technology. For example, Elon Musk. According to Elon Musk, technology is blah blah blah. Right? You can quote somebody. You can even quote even the infamous people. Okay, you can quote your mom, you can quote your teacher, as long as the idea is quoting somebody. Okay, according to, according to, and then you talk about it.
yes, sir.
Okay, aside from quoting somebody, generalizing, realization, quoting somebody, you can also motivate in the ending or in your conclusion. For example, um, we must. Okay, therefore, we must make use of the technology, blah, blah, blah. Do you get what I mean? Yes. So you can choose any ways or any methods in concluding. So I'd like you to
Mm,
choose one. It's up to you.
I came
Oh, yeah. I came
to
to
realize
realize what?
that uh, technology is very useful
Very, I told you about
Uh,
it.
is incredibly useful.
Incredibly useful.
These days,
Mm-hmm.
these days, like cell phones,
Mm. Such as
such as cell phones, such as cell phones, laptops,
and the
and
likes.
and the likes.
And the likes means and many more. Okay?
You can also say etc.
Yeah, etc. is suitable for writing,
Yeah.
not in speaking. And the like is more suitable.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So,
I'd like you to repeat the improved answer right after I read the question. What technology do people currently use?
well, as for me, as for me, technology is rampant nowadays, especially the mobile phone. Mobile phone. There are actually several reasons for this. The first reason is it is cheaper. Oh, it is. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg compared to the other gadgets. Another significant reason for this is its portability since it is handy. For instance, you can buy a mobile phone for just 7,000 or less. Not only that, you can just carry it in your pocket. And I came to realize that technology is incredibly useful these days, such as cell phones, laptops, and the like.
Okay. Is it better?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the difference here, Josen, is that in part one, I only asked at least one reason and at least one example from you. But in part three, since you need to give longer answers, I am encouraging you to give me more. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So do you have questions when it comes to uh PREC?
No, ma'am.
None. Okay.
No,
So again, do
no.
not forget to save. And you can see that there is a check sign. It means it is saved. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Since you also please as a teacher, do not forget to save every time. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now moving on to part two. Okay. So you need to explain to your student that you are done with part one and now you will move to part two. When you click part two here, okay, when you click part two here, you will just be led in this method, IMF. Okay, so
Mm,
it will directly lead you here. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you so much. Well, aside from this answer, yes, this is actually too short. Now I will help you construct longer answers in part two, especially that you're going to deliver your answer within 2 minutes. So it's kind of long, okay? Now, the crucial part in part two, Josen, is that you need to teach your student what to prepare within 1 minute, right?
so-
Yeah. So remember that you need to prepare within 1 minute. So in 1 minute, you need to teach your student what to prepare. So, for example, I'm your teacher again, and you are my student, okay? Okay. All right. So, Josen, you also discussed that you find part two difficult. So, right now, I will teach you the technique. Okay. Now, first of all, in part two, you are given 1 minute to prepare. Okay. So, I want to ask you, what did you do during the 1 minute?
I'm just thinking, ma'am.
Oh, you're just thinking. Okay. It's okay. It's okay because you haven't heard about this technique yet. So I will teach you now. All right. Now, first of all, I'll discuss you the IMF. I'd like you to read the meaning of IMF. Kindly read.
Introduction, main points, feelings or future.
Okay. Now, look at number two. This is the main points. Okay. Excuse me. In part two, remember that there are things or ideas, I mean, that you should, it says here should, so there is a must that you should include this in your answer. Okay, now what you use it for, when you got it, how often you need to use it, and of course you need to explain why you find this piece of technology difficult to use. Okay, now this is where you need to spend your 1 minute with. You need to write down important keywords for 1 minute. For example, okay, so let's just forget introduction first, okay? And let's focus on main points because this is the important idea and details that you need to write down within 1 minute. So, for example, in 1 minute, you need to discuss what you use it for. Of course, you need to answer the piece of technology that you find difficult. You said that it is the computer, right? Therefore, you used computer already. Now, what kindly describe the computer? Your computer, please.
Mm, it is a 2 gig RAM
2 gigabytes
and
RAM. Okay,
mm,
in this part, I'd like you to be very keen, very thorough in giving description. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, what else?
Mm, it has a black color,
Black. Okay, what else?
mm, hard keyboard,
Hard
eh,
keyboard. It has hard keyboard. Okay.
mm,
Who who
and
who bought this to you when you bought it? For
mm,
example,
my brother bought it,
brother bought it. Mm-hmm.
and other question, what you use it for? Hard keyboard, right?
We just described it. We are just describing it. Okay. Brought it. It's useful here. So let's just
Mm,
forget this one later. We will use it later. So do you have any description? Any more description?
no, ma'am,
None. Okay.
none, ma'am.
Okay. Well, let's have the next one. When you got it for?
Uh,
When you got it. Oh, what you use it for? Sorry. What
what use
you use it for?
I use it for my studies.
Just a moment. Mm,
Uh,
studies. What else?
for
Explain thoroughly.
emails, for checking emails,
Emails. Oh,
and
yeah.
for
Checking
social
emails.
medias.
Oh, social media browsing.
Yes, ma'am.
Social
Social
media
media
browsing.
browsing
You can give
and
examples here. Can you give me? Facebook. What else?
Facebook, um,
IG,
YouTube,
Twitter,
YouTube,
YouTube. Yeah, I think it's
mm,
not a social media, but it's a website.
uh,
Social media, browsing, website, and
website,
social media browsing. Okay,
and
what else?
also games. I play games in my
Uh,
computer.
online games.
Yes, like
Okay, such as
COD,
what's that?
Call of Duty,
COD,
Call,
Call of
COD,
Duty. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all.
Fortnite. Yes, one.
How often do you, when you got it?
I got it. I got it my last birthday.
Your brother gave me, you said it,
Present.
birthday present.
Birthday present.
Okay. And then how often? How
I
often do
often I use
you use it?
yes. I think I use it 20 hours a day.
20 hours a day. Okay. It's like daily.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, daily. Right. How about why?
Why? And explain why you find this busy. Mm,
Why is it difficult to use?
can I answer what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the hard keyboard, can I answer that now?
Yeah.
Or
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because the keyboard is hard.
and also it always lag.
Oh, lagging. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Always lagging.
Okay, well. Do you have an idea? I mean, do you want to add more?
Um, I don't have any ideas, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I'd like you to think of perhaps your conclusion. Perhaps your conclusion.
Vision.
Let's think of conclusion here, if you have any. Mm-hmm.
Can I use that? I realize.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Realization.
Relation.
Why? Mm-hmm.
I realize
Realization about this is just keywords, okay?
uh,
Realization about
that I that I need to replace it.
ah you need to buy
Yes,
need
ma'am.
to buy new one. Mm-hmm. Replace. Buy a new one. Buy a new one. Alrighty, okay. Mm-hmm. And then yeah. So we have here our keywords. Now, for 1 minute, if you're going to take down these notes, therefore, you now have something to say within the 2 minutes. Do you got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, this is how you teach your student what to prepare for 1 minute. So, the student should answer the question and, of course, describe thoroughly. And, of course, it's about the main points he or she needs to take down notes. Of course, a reminder this is just keywords. You don't have to write down the complete sentence. You just need to write down the keywords only. Okay? Because you only got 1 minute to prepare. So just write the keywords. Okay? And after that, we will teach the student the IMF itself. Okay, so let's go back again. I am your teacher. Okay, so Josan, the first method of the IMF is what we call the IMF. Okay, I'm sorry, the introduction. So the introduction will improve the opening sentence. Okay, the first type or the first how do I say this? The first way in using the introduction is to use introductory phrases. Okay, so introductory phrases such as these. Okay, kindly read it for me.
I'd like to talk about, I'm
Mhm.
going to tell you about. When thinking about this question, the first thing, place, person, activity that comes to my
Okay,
mind is
very good. So, since this is your topic, so kindly choose one introductory phrase and then apply it here. Okay, go on.
so when thinking about this question, the first thing that comes to my
The
mind is
first piece of technology.
The first piece of technology that comes to my
that
mind,
that I
uh,
find
if I find difficult to use,
is
is my compu- my laptop,
my
my computer,
computer. Okay,
my computer.
do it again.
So, when thinking about this question, the first piece of technology that I find difficult to use is my computer.
Okay.
Mm,
Or yeah, when thinking about this question, the first thing that comes into my mind if we talk about technology that I find difficult to use is the computer. Or you can also use, I'm going to tell you about computer. This is the piece of technology that I find difficult to use. Okay?
mm,
So
yes,
this
ma'am.
is the using of introductory phrases. Do you got it? Very good. Now let's move to the second one. The second method is rephrase the question. So what are the things that you should do if you will rephrase the question? Kindly read.
Change some keywords,
Mhm.
name a particular type, and add an adjective.
Very good. So I have here an example. Mhm. So the question is describe a TV program that you watched recently. So instead of using the word recently, the answer was the past few
The
weeks.
past few
So
weeks.
in the answer, the student didn't use recently. And I saw instead of watched. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So paraphrasing. Okay? Now let's try to do this in this question. Okay, go on. I'd like to talk about, but you need to use introductory phrases too. So kindly use an introduction and then rephrase. Okay, go on.
I'd like to talk about the
Let's rephrase the piece of technology. What can you use?
mm, piece of
I'd like to talk about. You can also use the gadget.
gadget.
I'd like to talk
Let's
about
talk
the
about the
gadget
gadget. Uh,
that
I
I find. Think of different word that I consider difficult to use, difficult, tough to use,
serve.
utilize.
Mm.
All right? Can you read this for me?
I'd like to talk about the gadget that I consider tough to utilize.
Yes. So that's one way of rephrasing. It's kind of
Mm.
difficult, but it needs practice. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And the last one is adding a good adjective. So, of course, we will add, okay, change some keywords. Okay, we forgot this. Name the particular type. So, we already did that. We use computer. Let's talk about the gadget I consider to realize. I'd like to talk about the gadget that I consider to realize. Name it, and that is my computer. So you need to name the gadget, okay? Now, let's talk about the good adjective, okay? Now, let's cite first the nouns here. Let's say the gadget is a noun. Yeah, and computer is a noun as well. Now, let's try to gadget two. Just a moment. Mm-hmm. Let's try to use an adjective for the word gadget. Useful. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Useful gadget. I'd like to talk about the useful gadget that I consider tough to realize. That is my computer. Old computer.
Oh, computer.
Right? This
Yes, ma'am.
is using a good adjective. Okay. Second is the main points. There you go. So, which is actually done already. Remember the 1 minute preparation, this one?
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Okay. And the ending or the last and the end is the F or the feeling or the future. Of course, it's the what we've prepared a while back. We talked about the conclusion. Remember, I already gave you the technique in giving conclusion. So you can say overall, or you can think of the future. So you said that you have some realizations. So your realization is you need to replace and buy a new one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So in part two, you have everything you need in answering your part two. But of course, since these are just keywords, I'd like you to remember that you need to be well aware of your grammar. Okay, you need to be well aware of your grammar, your pronunciation. What else? Grammar, pronunciation. Make use of the cohesive devices. Mm-hmm. Or linking words in your answers. Okay? Be mindful of your intonation. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I believe that for the 2 minutes delivery, it will be easy for you because you already have here your introduction, your main points or your content, and of course, the conclusion. So it would be easy and it would be you have the guide for you to complete the 2 minutes delivery. Okay. Okay,
Uh,
so that's the end of the methods. Now, so don't forget to save. All right. So after this is we will go back to the menu. So you're done discussing with the answer correction. You already improved the answer of your student. This is the part wherein you will give your feedback to your student and the course plan and then the homework. Okay?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.